Alright, yeah, so as I already mentioned in my last video, what I actually wanted to showcase there was a new level that I made, which was inspired by the puzzle game Tunic that I played recently. And yeah, for the first time in several months, this was like the first thing that actually inspired me to make a new Mario Maker level and also keep the motivation to like make an entire level and not just start with it and then stop in the middle or something like that. So if you want to play the level first, then the ID is gonna be in the description down below. But now I'm going into the level, and of course I will also spoil how you can solve it. So basically the main mechanic that I wanted to recreate from Tunic was the input puzzles. So in several places in Tunic you can find little puzzles that all hide some certain input codes, and if you input like the right directions on the D-pad, then stuff happens. And that's also what I tried here. So I mean, the first problem is obviously how is that gonna work, because like if I input stuff on the D-pad, that's just moving Mario. So the problem is that like if I would say input 3 times to the right, of course that could also mean go 3 parts to the right, but yeah, then the question becomes, what is like 3 inputs? So is it just press right as fast as possible, then it's like basically not moving him at all? Or is it like 1, 2, 3, or is it like 1, 2, 3 blocks or whatever? So yeah, that could get confusing. So the only way to really use these inputs is basically in a place where you cannot really move Mario at all, so if it's blocked off by walls left and right. However, then the question becomes, what does that actually do? Because if I do not move and I just input random directions on the D-pad, so then yeah, like where's the use of that? And so the idea that I came up with has to do with the way that RNG works in this game. But before I dive into that mechanic, let's just take a look at the level first. So as you can already see, one inspiration that definitely also came from Tunic is these cryptic letters that you can see right here. So in Tunic there is actually a way at some point to decrypt that strange language and translate it all. However, here in that level, these symbols don't actually mean anything, they're just there to make the level look more mysterious. And then yeah, we have certain parts of the level, and so this right here is then basically the part where you need to have the answers that you get from inputting the different keys codes. And basically in all of these blocks there's a P-switch, except in 4 of them, so you need to have 4 keys in total. And if you have these 4 keys, then you can at least go into the subworld, and there you actually need 2 more keys, but you can get them in here if you fight the bosses on the left and on the right side of the main sub area. So yeah, that boss right here is just basically just a normal boom boom if you don't listen to the arrows and keep going in that direction where it tells you not to go. So that's the one key. And the other key that you can get from the boom boom on this side is actually at least somewhat also a puzzle, because as you can see, if you just go up here, there's nothing there. So you have to jump basically max height to even activate and find the boss. But yeah, it's not the hardest puzzle of this level, definitely. But yeah, just also to be a little mysterious, I also added these symbols here, so you come here and you are like well, there's nothing there, what do these symbols mean, and yeah, you actually have to jump and activate the boss right there. And yeah, then here we have some small gameplay areas, because I don't want it to be like 100% only puzzles, so there's also some gameplay involved. However, of course, the main focus on this level are still puzzles. And so to get 4 keys, you need to figure out 4 different key combinations. And as a starting point, I basically gave away one of those combinations already in the description. So the level description is actually a set of arrows in different directions. So that's one combination. And now I'm going to go into where you can find the other 3 and how you can decrypt them. Basically, they are all spread around the area here in the main and subworld. So right here we have, for example, a lot of different blocks that form arrows in different directions. However, with that information alone, you don't know the code yet, so you have a lot of random arrows in all sorts of directions, but you don't really know the order that you have to input them in. And that's the first small puzzle, which is right here. So here you have different blocks, and going back to the main world, that means you first have to put the direction that the question mark block arrow is going into, then the one with the normal blocks, then the one with the hard blocks, node blocks, and so on. And in the main world there's also donuts, but that's just an additional layer of confusion. So if you know how to decrypt the code, you know there is no donuts in the subworld, so you can just ignore the donut one. On the other side, there's also actually a code hidden right here, so that one has to do with the background decorations in the level. This is basically the only place where we have these background objects in the level. And the reason for that is because here in the subworld, it basically also tells you how you can decrypt them to a directional input code. So this lamp right here means right, the mushroom means down, and so on. So basically going from left to right here in the main world, you can get one of the other codes. So starting here, for example, we have down, then we have left 2 times, then down, then right. And that's the way to get this code. And then the third code is actually hidden inside the pipe over here. And that's also heavily inspired by Tunic, because in several areas in that game you have like some structures on the floor, and there's like one thing that stands out, in this case that key coin, which is then usually the beginning. And from that point you have to basically also go to all the others in the right order. So I mean, from that one you can only go to that one in a straight line, and so on. So in this case the code would be 3 times to the right, 3 times down, 4 times to the left, and up once. So that's the 4th code. So together with the one in the level description, you now know all of the codes. But of course the other important part is knowing where you have to use them. And the way to actually input the codes is right here. So down this pipe there is basically an area, like I told before, where it's locked off and you basically cannot really move Mario inside here, but you can still do some directional inputs. And then you go through this door and there's this arrangement of bloopers right here, which looks very random, but yeah, as I said before, the way that this puzzle works has to do with the way that RNG works in this game. And RNG is based on player input, so that means if you do the same inputs the RNG outcome will always be the same. And that's actually also why the level, or specifically this section, is set up like that, because of course any input that you do, so also jumping and stuff like that, would manipulate the RNG. However, for the main and the sub area, there's like 2 different RNG seeds, so that means no matter what you do in that main area right here, as soon as you go to the sub area, it basically resets. That means every time you end up in front of that door, you have like a clean RNG state, and then you can input your directional codes to manipulate the RNG and go through the door. However, of course, the question is still now, what do all these bloopers then mean in the end? Because you're supposed to have numbers, but so far it just looks like random arrangements of bloopers. And that's now the part that's being told in here. So here you can see an arrangement similar to the one where the bloopers are, with 2 of these background textures that have the diamond shapes. And on the first one you can see 1, 2, 4 and 8. And here you can see 16, 32, 64, and the last one is actually crossed out because there's like only 100 spaces in the part where you need to input the numbers, so they can only be between 0 and 100. So 128 wouldn't really make sense. And yeah, that's basically the part that tells you how to decrypt the bloopers and make numbers out of them. And the way to get to the final numbers is then, of course, in every corner where there is a blooper, you just need to add the number that is placed right here. So for example, if we had 1 blooper here in the corner and 1 blooper here in the corner, then the total would be 66, so 64 for this corner plus 2 for that corner. And so, for example, if I just input one of the codes in the level, which would be down, right, down, down, left, right, up, then basically the blooper arrangement after their first move, they're all gonna be either in one of these edges or like somewhere outside, or basically not in one of these corners right here. And so there, after their first move, that's basically the moment where you need to, I don't know, either pause the game or like take a screenshot and look at the blooper arrangement to get the numbers that you want to have. And so in this case, for that code, we had a blooper here, 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 here. So basically in all of the corners for this one, and in these 2 corners. And if you add up all of these numbers that these corners stand for, then you get to 95. And if I go back into the main world, then you can see that here in this area where you get the keys, 95 is actually one of the blocks that contains a key. So by inputting the 4 different codes, looking at the blooper combinations, and yeah, basically getting the numbers from them, you can solve the level and get all of the keys. And that's it for this level. And as I mentioned in my last video, I also made a troll level for Geek's troll level contest. I will put a link in the description once again. It's now also submitted in its final version in the Discord. And yeah, basically I don't want to spoil that one yet, because of course I first want to wait and see how it performs in the contest. But once the contest is over, I will definitely also make an explanation video for all the setups in that troll level. And now, finally, before I end that video, I also wanted to say how exactly I'm now imagining the future of this channel, because as a quick recap. So one of the reasons for me to do that very long break now was that before that break I just ran out of ideas for levels, because yeah, at some point I just had a feeling like all the little tricks and glitches were discovered. So I just kept uploading random short Kaizo levels and stuff, hoping that they would announce Super Mario Maker 3 at some point, which unfortunately they haven't so far. And of course that's what I don't want to do or continue to do, because yeah, that's essentially why I made that break. And that means now that basically for uploading videos I will not have any fixed schedule or something like that. So it may take some time until the next video, definitely until after the troll contest, because like the next video is going to be about that troll level then, but also for the future. So I don't think I will go back to having a set uploading schedule. Just whenever I feel like I have something that I want to showcase, I will make a video about it. So yeah, then that's it, and see you.